Hey everybody, Ben Brookes Belcher here. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Um, so I haven't really done this before, but I thought that I would do a little video, just talking about how I got started and where I come from briefly. And I apologize if I get off topic or go out in left field, but kind of things are coming back to me in stages. I started thinking about doing this video, and things came back to me that I hadn't really thought about in decades. And I'll probably remember some more stuff as I go along. But I just wanted to share this. It's a little, my background's a little different than probably uh, everybody that I know. So anyway, here we go. So I come from a little town in West Virginia called Charleston. Um, my father bought the old home place that my great grandfather had, Kenneman Belcher, um, and moved us to West Virginia from Lexington, Kentucky, where I was born. I guess when I was 6 years old or so. And I remember going up Belcher Hollow and the house that a great grandfather built. Um, it was just a shack. You could see through the floors, had newspapers on the walls. Uh, so we lived in a mobile home until Dad got it livable. It had a coal stove in the middle of the house. That was the only heat. And when we actually did move in, my brother and I, we slept in that middle room with the warm morning coal stove, and it was so hot you couldn't hardly stand it. But that being said, there's a lot of history. I'm going to skip right to the graduating from high school. So I graduated from Charleston High School, and I had went to Carver Tech in my junior and senior year for what they called a civil engineering course, which was basically just drafting. But I enjoyed it, and that that education has come in handy over the years. Um, so once I graduated, I took a job uh, at Laundere Music Company because all I thought about was music. I had been playing music since I was 10, started writing songs when I was 12. So I had all this stuff in my head that um, I had to get it out, which is why I learned how to play guitar to be able to get those sounds out of my head. Um, but I didn't have any experience playing in a group other than playing with my father and my other family members that played. My father was uh, a very entertaining person, and he played guitar and mandolin and sang, knew a lot of story songs. He was very entertaining. Um, so wasn't something I really wanted to do usually, but he insisted that I play guitar and accompany him almost nightly. So sometimes I was into it, but I just wanted to explore other things other than those old folk songs and bluegrass tunes and things that he liked to play. Looking back on it, I treasure those memories. But at the time, I'm exploring. I'm trying to find my way, trying to learn how to play, listening to Chet Atkins, just overwhelmed, by trying to emulate what he was doing, trying to figure it out. With the only record player we had in the house was in the middle room, and that's we didn't have YouTube, obviously, and so that's how you learn songs. You just try to lift them off the record, and listen to it over and over and over and over. Anyway, so I had a job at Laundry Music Company, and I had a friend. I just met a buddy that played drums, and he had some professional experience, so we were starting a band. Well, it was going great, but Guy's dad wanted him to get a job in the mine. So his dad was the electrician in the mine. He had a little pull. Got his son a job in the mines, and when you're first starting especially a deep mine, you're called a red hat for 2 weeks while you're learning the ropes. So Guy was a red hat. Guy was given an assignment to carry a 5-gallon bucket to the continuous mining machine at the face of the mine, but there had been a roof fall. So Guy didn't know that you didn't climb over a fresh roof fall. And he did. And the roof fell in again, killed him instantly. So lost my best friend. I lost, my opportunity to be in a band, and so that was rough for a kid. And but shortly after that, one of my dad's friends called and asked me if I'd be willing to work with him on a strip mine. So if you don't know what a strip mine is, it's also called a surface mining operation. Basically, you're blowing up the top of a mountain. You're taking the coal out. You're taking all the stuff that you blew up and putting it in the valley beside the mountain and building that valley up. So at the end, after the coal's out and everything's filled back in, you just got this flat mountain. So if you fly over West Virginia, you'll see a lot of flat mountains. Not proud of it, but that's how I made my living in the beginning, and that's how a lot of good people make their living still. But there is a huge environmental impact with surface mining, and it's one of the most dangerous jobs that you can have, short of being shot at. But if you're crossing a picket line, you're going to get shot at too. But so I took the job, and when you're the new guy, they always give you the worst job that they have, right? So because you're the new guy. Well, I was excited because running heavy equipment, I kind of had a knack for that, and I enjoyed it. And, but they put me on what they called the high wall drill, which is basically a tandem diesel truck with a hydraulic boom on it that has a hydraulic drill that drills holes in rock, and it has an air compressor mounted on the truck that blows the dust out of the hole. So there's just a huge cloud of dust the entire time that this thing's drilling. So it's just a very distasteful job. And then you also had to be able to handle explosives. You had to be trained. So part of your job was also to put explosives, what we called load the shot, and get the shot ready to set it off. So the way we did that was we'd probably drill 100 holes. And you're by yourself. So I'm by myself on this machine. Drill a hole, pull the truck up. Drill a hole, pull the truck up. Drill a hole, pull the truck up. All day long. And and then it comes time to load the explosives in the hole. So what we did, you'd have the circular bags filled with ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel. You'd put that in about 20 feet, and then you'd put a stick of dynamite on top of it, put primer cord in it with a cap, stuff more ammonium nitrate in there, and just keep going up the hole till you come up to the top. And you'd have a piece of detonating cord sticking out of the top of the hole on every hole, and then you'd tie all that together with time delay caps. And when you set it off, it would be a very fast succession of explosions. And when you're back far away looking at it, it looked like the entire mountain just raised up and then set back down in a cloud of dust. But it was a succession of explosions. So I just hated that job, and I wanted off of it. I wanted to run it. I wanted to do something else. So my dad, he volunteered to run the high wall drill, and he loved it because he could be on top of the mountain drilling holes all day by himself. Didn't have to talk to anybody. Didn't have to do anything, other than run that drill. So he just took to it. He loved it. He stayed on it till he retired from there. But I did not like it, so I wanted on something else. So I was given the opportunity to drive an off-road coal truck first, which I did, and they had, I think they had about 10 trucks. Most of them were automatic transmission, new trucks. Well, they had one old truck that had an old Detroit diesel engine in it, 15-speed Road Ranger transmission. It was a Klein. They were all Kleins, but this was an old one I believe from the 50s. So nobody wanted that manual transmission because you're just banging gears all day long, And but I enjoyed that, and So I did that for a little while. Kind of an interesting story. I love those guys that I worked with, but I was the new kid, and they're always playing jokes. And one of the things on a strip mine, it's remote, and you're up. There's lots of wildlife. We saw bears and foxes and bobcats and lots of rattlesnakes. Rattlesnakes everywhere. The yellow kind, timber rattlers, huge snakes. Well, one day we're hauling coal out of this pit. So it's a long, steep ramp into this pit where you had to go drive down to get loaded. And the walls of the coal is right beside each side of the truck, so it's narrow. Well, these guys that I worked with were standing around waiting to get loaded, and I'm coming in the pit, take my place, and they had killed a rattlesnake and cut its head off. They thought it would be funny to throw this rattlesnake in the cab with me as I come down that ramp. And they did that. They threw it in the window, it hit the floor, and where the head was supposed to be was underneath the heater core of the dash, and I couldn't see whether if it had a head. All I could see was the snake rattling and writhing around on the floor. Scared the living daylights out of me. I hit every brake I had, jumped out of that truck, running at those guys, throwing rocks at them. They just on the ground laughing, thought that was the funniest thing in the world. You know, it was pretty funny, but I still have nightmares about that snake. So anyway, I got off the coal truck as my regular job. I still had to drive it occasionally, but I got on another job driving a different kind of truck I thought I'd like, which was running a rock hauler. So it's much bigger machine, and you're loading all the dirt and the boulders off the coal and dumping it over the mountain into the valley all day long, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So that didn't turn out be a great job, and so time went by. They needed somebody to run a front end loader and load coal trucks. That was pretty much the best job on the strip because you're in a heated cab, and the job that I had, I was loading coal trucks going to the river, hauling and dumping it a stockpile at the river to be loaded on river barges. So the machine I was running was a 275 Michigan. It had a huge bucket capacity on it. It only took 2.5 buckets to load a coal truck. So anyway, I had 15 or 20 trucks. It took them about an hour make a round trip. I could load them in 30 minutes or so. So I had a lot of time, and I was actually able to write some songs in sitting in that machine with my bucket up, waiting for the trucks to come back. And I actually wrote one of my songs called Megan, sitting in that machine. Hopefully I'll be able to insert the picture of some of these pictures in this video, but so there was an incident that happened that kind of made me decide that I needed to get off of this strip mine and find some other employment. And since music was all I thought about, I was really wanting to do full-time music. And I was playing music in some of the roughest places, joints in the coal fields anyway, and trying to work during the day. And it was just, I was young, but man, it was hard to get through the day with only an hour or two of sleep. And but man, what's some of the? I'll have to make a video about some of those stories. I probably will, but boy, they were rough. So anyway, this one day, got my trucks loaded. I'm sitting there and I get a call on the radio asking if I could ride up the top of the mountain and drive a truck during lunch break. So I figured I couldn't say no, so I did it. So superintendent, his name was Zenas Campbell. So Zenas comes down, flying down the road, picks me up, flies back up top of the mountain, drops me off this truck, It's a water truck, fully loaded water truck, Brockway, and another 15-speed Road Ranger transmission, Cummins diesel, Jake brake. He said, water the roads down while they're eating lunch. Too much dust. Afraid there's going to be an accident. I said, okay. So I fire this old truck up, build air pressure up, and I don't know enough to check the truck out. I'm an idiot. I'm a young guy. I should have known better. Anybody that drives a truck watching this video is going to not understand why I didn't check the truck out. I should have, but I trusted Zenas to tell me if he thought something was wrong with it, and but there was something big wrong with it. It was sitting there because the mechanic was working on it, and he was at lunch, and it's somewhere else, eating his lunch wherever he was working on a machine somewhere, and but the truck didn't have any brakes. He had actually taken the airlines off of the rear pancakes on the brakes, and the clutch was slipping. So I take off in this truck, and I'm jamming gears. Well, you can shift, on flat ground, without a clutch. So I was, speed shifting through these gears and taking off, and fully loaded, and I take off over this hill, and the hill gets steeper and steeper, and then all of a sudden everything gets quiet because the clutch is slipping and it's not engaging the Jake brake. And I tried shifting down to a lower gear. I got it shifted into the gear, but when I let the clutch out, it didn't do anything. Right, so I hit my brakes. So you know what happened with that. Lost all my air pressure. The alarm comes on. Ding, 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 ding. Further the faster. Truck's just barreling down the mountain. Just further the faster. And they had always told me, the mechanic, when they check you out on a machine to see if you could actually do the job, they always tell you, don't jump out of this. Well, I wasn't staying in that truck because there was nothing good was going to happen at the end of it. So I picked a wide spot in the road. I got out on the fuel tanks, stood on the fuel tanks, held onto the steering wheel with this hand, picked me a spot, and I tried to steer the truck. There was a dozer ramp at the end of this road, long ways away, but I steered it towards that ramp and jumped out. And boy, that hurt. So I thought I broke my leg. I did, I don't know, a couple of cartwheels, and I thought my leg was broke, and I had some rocks, gravel stuck in my back and my legs and my knee. But it didn't kill me. So I was laying in the road, and I watched that truck, and everybody on the right side of that ramp, they had all the machines parked in a big circle. A couple of dozers, a couple of big, the 992 Cat loader, and they were eating in the center of this circle, like, how they used to circle the wagons. And so I'm laying in the road, and I watch this truck go up that ramp, all the way to the top, and then it started rolling. And it rolled, and it rolled, and it rolled, and it rolled. By the time it got to the bottom and it quit rolling, that truck was tore all to pieces. And those guys, everybody comes running out, see see if I was hurt, if I was in the truck. including my dad. They couldn't find me. I was told that all they could find was my smashed hard hat. But I'm laying in the road, and here comes Zenas in his truck. And he says, "You hurt?" I said, "Well, yeah. All right, I'm going to go get your dad." And, he asked me what happened. I said, "Well, I didn't have any brakes." And he didn't say nothing. And so he went and got my dad. My dad took me to the hospital. They patched me up. And, looking back on it all these years, I could have, I could have sued the company and probably been very well off. But, when you're young and dumb, you just, you don't want to rock the boat. So I took a week off. They asked me to come back. Just didn't have to do anything, Obviously, they wanted me to come back. But, almost dying in that truck, even just reinforced the fact that I needed to get out of that business and do something else. And since music was all I thought about, and the fact that shortly after that, everybody went on strike, and we didn't cross picket lines because you got shot if you did. I got an offer to go on the road to play music, which is all I wanted to do anyway. And I was tired of playing the joints around West Virginia. And it just sounded like, had the sound of success to it. Well, so I went out on the road, and for better or for worse, that's how everything started going wrong. I mean, that's how I got into music full time. But I'll make some more videos about some of those experiences on the road, and maybe some about before that happened. But thanks for listening. I'm Ben Brookes Belcher. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. It's much appreciated. And